realizing, like, what's this supernatural, what's that supernatural. So tell me a bit about how he deals with this new information.
Well, I think that you deal with it in that you have a moral obligation to go back and re-examine cases that were unsolved, and you look at them with a new set of eyes of knowing, and you ask yourself, if I knew then what I know now, how would I approach this case? Would there be anything different? And I think that there are probably in Beacon Hills at least a handful of cases that would probably be red flagged, and one in particular that we know of, and it's it's very interesting because it's I think that there's a moment, I don't think I'm giving anything away, where Sal's like, are you really going to do this? And I'm like, do I have a choice? There is no choice.
When you signed on to the role, did you always know that eventually Styles' dad would find out about the supernatural?
No.
And when you found out this, when you first got the first scripts, and you found out that this arc was going to lead him to eventually finding out about all the supernatural world, what did you think about the idea of growing the character that way?
I think it's good. I think that you eventually have to find out. You have to get in, be let in on the secret. But I'm also leery of, you take away an element of friction, of confrontation, of he knows but he doesn't. That there's something that has to. It's always good when people have secrets. But that being said, I don't think that we're a show that's short on secrets. I think there's still plenty more.
Well, how is this going to affect, obviously, the relationship between him and Styles? Because as we saw in the clip that aired in the panel, Styles isn't going to be himself, really. He's going to be it's more of a psychological thriller this season. He's going to be dealing with some heavy issues. Is Styles going to be more open to talking with his dad about it, or is that just another secret?
He will be, but I also think that it's, and this is my take on it, from reading and I think that it's a season of consequence, in that you cannot do something and not have consequences, and you don't know what those consequences are going to be always, and it's when this domino tips, and that domino tips, and the next tips, and the ripples go out, and they're much farther reaching than you think they might be. And if they hit the edge of the pool and they come back, and there are consequences that you're not aware of, and I think we're dealing with that a lot in this season. And it is much more of a psychological thriller. It's some amazing work that's happening, and really frightening. It's scary stuff.
Well, and I was going to, by the middle of 3A, I was pretty convinced that Styles was going to get arrested as a suspect, like a serial killer.
Yeah.
So, are they going to be able to reconcile that? Even though now the sheriff knows, and he knows about the supernatural stuff. That's still kind of some baggage. That
there is that element of also, if you had told me.
Right.
I could have saved these people's lives.
Right.
And his take is, if I had told you, you might have died.
Right.
So his keeping me in the dark was out of love. It was out of protecting his father. And how do you fault somebody for that?
Right.
But the judgment of a 16, 17-year-old is maybe not the best judgment.
Different than a parent.
In the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's that element. There's baggage for sure.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get a lot better.
It's great to know.
Yeah.
So in the panel, Dylan named the Jeep. This is a big question. Named the Jeep Roscoe.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's a good name. I thought it should have been Bosco, but Bosco, just for a different reason that Dylan knows. But Roscoe's a pretty darn good name.
Just just going off the season finale, it looks like your filming this season has become a lot more physically extensive for you in particular. Is it more of that this season in the next 12? Did you get a lot more physically demanding?
No, I didn't. I haven't gotten to fight, and that's I'm looking forward to it when I do. And I was just saying that I'm not as quick as I used to be, and I'm not as limber as I used to be, but I've also changed my fighting style over the years, in that as opposed to a lot of, I've been doing more Krav Maga, which is maybe not as cinematic, but it certainly is effective. And I've really enjoyed it. It's just down, dirty, get in, inflict the maximum amount of damage in the minimum amount of time, and get the hell out of there. Set them down, put them down. They're not getting up. Move on. But it's not particularly flashy. It's really brutal, and I've loved that. But that's in my personal life. That doesn't have a ton to do with Zelensky.
So Zelensky's not going to get down and dirty?
Not so far, but you never know. I don't know.
Any romantic prospects?
What do you think?
I mean, the fans, and I'm one of them, I want to see them together, obviously.
Well, then I think that bed plate has been set. I think that it's sparking. I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely something there. And I also think that having Scott's dad back in town is not my favorite thing in the world. To have a woman that you're maybe interested in, to have her ex show up, is like, yay, great, fantastic.
I don't want to interrupt you. How has your relationship grown with Dylan over the last 3 years? Because you are playing his father. Offset, what's that relationship like?
I love him. I do. I mean, and not like, oh, I love that guy. No, I love him. He is a really, really, really good person. And I couldn't be more proud of him. And I couldn't be happier for his success. And he deserves all the good things that are happening. He was raised incredibly well, that Dylan O'Brien. I think that O'Brien kid was raised really well. It's lovely. I mean, there are times that I give him advice, and there are times that he gives me advice. To see how he's grown, how he and Tyler have grown. I mean, they were kids when they started. They were really kids, and their first time away from home. And I was sort of there as a surrogate parent in a lot of ways. And there were times that I'd go, maybe that's not the best idea, guys. And they'd be like, hey, we did this. I'm like, ooh, no, don't do that. He's amazing. They're both amazing. They're really, really special people.
We did mention before about not getting too physical, I guess, in some of the stuff he's doing. I kind of wanted to point out that maybe you're not going to be using anything safe. Johnny Cage hit past Mortal Kombat, I see.
Well, I do the splits and punch styles in the nuts. No.
You heard her first two people.
No, not so far. I don't know. We'll see. But no.
Maybe you can go toe to toe with, I'm going to say Tyler's dad, but not him.
Oh, yeah. Agent McCall.
Is there a history there?
Yeah. Well, think about it. I mean, we're both, Beacon Hill's not a huge place.
Right.
I'm in law enforcement. He's in law enforcement.
Right.
Our kids are best friends.
Right.
We've known each other a long time.
Right. So it's safe to assume that Styles and Scott have been friends for a very long time?
Yes. Yes. our families were
close.
tight.
In utero?
I don't know about, I don't know, I know I grew up in Beacon Hills. I haven't thought about whether Melissa did or not, or Paul, but, been there a long time, and we knew each other when the kids were little, and, it was cops hanging out together, and then some stuff went down, and he left, and my wife died, and
Oh, we're going into how she died.
yes, we
So,
are.
yeah, tell me a little bit about that, filming that. Was there a scene in particular that was, emotional?
Yeah, I mean, it's revealed what happened to her and the consequences of that. It's once again consequences.
It's like Sesame Street.
I know.
Word of the day.
Is consequence. And I can't give anything away, but it's important how she died. And I think Lydia Martin's mom is super hot.
Do you support Styles and Lydia?
I do. I mean, you know what? The greatest thing about it is I watch it and I'm like, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they kissed. And it's like they were so, like, that moment when Holland backed off and it's like, there was that moment of just magic. Yeah.
It was beautiful.
And there's consequences to that, too.
Well, and Styles may or may not be losing his V card this season. It was sort of hinted at.
I heard that.
Okay. So any conversation that goes down there with Styles and his dad in relation to what goes down, what big milestone he has.
What goes down?
What?
Boom. No, we already had that conversation a long time ago.
All right.
With everything that's going on around him, are you ever worried about the sheriff's story getting too dark for the show? Are you ever worried about it getting to a point where it's like, I imagine some people, like, with everything that's happening, his wife has died, and now all these supernatural things happening, and his son's involved, that could drive someone mad. Like, how does he stay sane?
I think that you take the focus off yourself and you put it on others and taking care of other people and doing, helping other people, and that probably keeps you sane.
Will we see him working with some of the wolves to when you talk about the past cases and things like that, to sort of get into the backstory and all that good stuff?
Using what they can do.
Yeah.
Delancey and Derek are gonna actually.
Yeah, it's not going to be I guess it'll still be hysteric in a weird way. But no, there's not that. But not so much with a little bit with Derek. Yeah. Derek, Scott, Daniel, Sharman. Everybody gets involved. Lydia, because she's got some abilities that we don't really know what they are. Use any tool in the box.
Do you by chance want to see, so we're getting into sort of the Japanese kitsune this season, do you want to see any sort of supernatural creatures make their way into Beacon Hills?
Me, personally?
Like, what do you think they should expand into next?
Space Ghost. He would be awesome if he came to Beacon Hills, because he got the bracelets and he can like go like that. That would be cool. And the monkey, right? He's got a monkey in the spaceship. Yeah, that would be cool.
Team up in space.
I don't know that we're gonna have like vampires or I'm pretty sure we're not gonna have vampires. But yeah, Space Ghost would be good if it came in. I don't know, supernatural creatures. I would just soon see none of them from Stilinski's point of view.
Right.
I just, that it?
Thank
Anything
you.
else? Oh, you guys are welcome. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So much.
Can you just pass me down the recording?
Yeah.